Hey, so what we're going to get into today is how to structure your business profile in order to gain access to business funding. Should be unethical practices of how to gain access to other people's money in order to make money. Basically, this is the channel where we teach you how to gain access to the money, the moolah, the bling, and the ka-ching. Let's get it. So here's the harsh truth. 7 out of 10 businesses out there in the United States of America are basically getting denied for loans. So they get denied for business loans before their applications are even seen. Now here's the reason why, okay? Because of the fact that their profiles are basically not constructed right, or moreover their profiles throw up red flags to the algorithms, and basically 27% of individuals right across the United States are getting denied. So what does that basically mean? Rarely is there a case where individuals are walking away with 100K plus in business funding. But because of the fact that only 27% of people are walking away with the cash, I'm here basically to show you how. So here's the wild thing that a lot of people don't realize. When it comes to getting funding for your business, it's not necessarily so much about banks or approaching banks or going to banks. There are things out there or entities out there or banks out there called credit unions. And basically they handle or give out bigger bags, they have higher limits, and it's a lot easier to bypass their algorithms because their rules and regulations just aren't as strict. Your business name basically matters, okay? Now the reason why it matters is because, now this may sound a little bit on the extreme side, but these algorithms basically sort out the wheat from the chaff, and how they do that is by separating those industries which they deem to be high risk. So if you're in an industry and your name dictates the industry that you're in, and in a high risk industry, so some of the high risk industries are just coming up, just over here. I'll give you some time to read those, okay? Now, industries like that off rip are basically getting denied because of their names. Now, here's the thing, just because of the fact that you're in credit repair doesn't immediately say, and you've got that attached to your name, it doesn't immediately mean that your algorithms of JP Morgan, Chase, Wells Fargo, PNC, etc., or credit unions, moreover, are going to deny you. What it may mean is the fact that you're going to get restricted. So instead of you getting 50,000 US dollars, you may get 20,000 US dollars. But as you know, on this channel, we are about maximizing the amount of money that you can get. So next, we're going to get into business identity. Your legal name, once you've got it, you've got to have an EIN number registered, okay? You've got to be consistent on all platforms. So there are things out there which will automatically make you high risk just because of the fact that you haven't got your paperwork in place. So I'm talking about things like mismatched addresses, okay? Different names on the IRS versus your state filings. Now, why is that? Inconsistencies. We don't need inconsistencies when we're dealing with banks, because banks don't want inconsistencies. That makes complete sense, because if they see inconsistencies anywhere, what does that shout out to them? The fact that you are high risk. Now, albeit you may get some money, but you won't get the money that is due to you because of these holes that basically need to be plugged and can easily be plugged. Now, would you believe me if I said to you that there are businesses out there that are being flagged just because of the fact that they do not have professional business telephone numbers? So I'm talking about cell phone number. Yes, you can be deemed as unprofessional just because of the fact that you've put a cell phone number on your application. You can be deemed as unprofessional just because of the fact that you have a Gmail account. You can be flagged with a Yahoo account, etc., etc. Again, you can bypass the algorithms and you can get funded, but we're about maximizing the amount in which you can get. Now, you've got to be listed in 411 directories, Yelp, etc., etc., because the bank's algorithms check these automatically. Now, one of the major red flags is if you cannot be verified in any which way online, even it goes as deep as your social media presence. Now, I'm not talking about the fact that you need a social media presence that has a gazillion followers or even 1,000 followers, but something that is updated on a regular basis, because again, these algorithms go out there and check. And on top of that, if you think your website doesn't count, it matters. Again, we want consistency. We want a digital footprint that is consistent, that shouts out, I am trustworthy, I am professional. So let's look at it like this. Google searches are actually rejecting more business loan applications out there, okay, than bankers, simply because your website or your lack of a website is basically simply killing your loan applications and killing your potential. So here's the next red flag, and it's the #1 silent killer of business funding in the United States of America. Let's get it. Now, 80% of businesses out there in the United States of America are getting denied because of this one red flag. Now, if you fix this one singular thing, you can immediately get yourself or grab a hold of the cash that you need. So, what's the one thing? Business checking accounts. You must separate your business from your personal, okay? Once you combine the two, that is called co-mingling, which is what we don't want, and it throws up the biggest red flags in order for you to get denied for the money, the moolah, the bling, and the ka-ching. So banks, credit unions, they basically track a thing called bank rating, okay? Now, bank rating is basically based upon the balances that you have and the inflows, the ebbs and flows of money that go into your account and out of your account. So let's say, for example, you keep an average balance of $10,000, okay, on average. Basically, that creates a stronger profile for you to get bigger limit. But again, all of these things are connected. All the dots have to connect. So for example, if your business address is wrong, even if you've got 10K that is flowing in and flowing out of your account, that's not going to save you, because the next topic in which I'm going to get into is your business address. So your office location can basically make the difference between $100,000 in an approval or you getting a denial. And here's the shocking part, okay? Even your virtual address can destroy you getting your chances or getting your hands on that 100K in approvals. So here are some of the biggest things which throw up red flags, okay? So you need a real physical or commercial address, okay? That's best. Also, UPS stores or PO boxes, automatic denials, okay? Some virtual addresses, okay, are basically being flagged. It's not like the days of old, around about 2 to 3 years ago, where you could have a virtual address. A lot of scams have happened right across America, and basically the banks, the credit unions, they've tightened their belts as far as virtual addresses are concerned. However, there are some virtual addresses that give out lease agreements. There are other virtual addresses when you go to the UPS site, and there's a way to check whether or not it's a commercial postal address, okay? If it is not a commercial postal address, when you check on the USPS site, you could basically check whether or not it's a commercial premises. However, there are some virtual addresses that give out lease agreements. There are other virtual addresses when you go to the UPS site, and there's a way to check whether or not it's a commercial postal address, okay? If it is not a commercial postal address, when you check on the USPS site, you could basically check whether or not it's a commercial premises or it is not. If it is not, then you're good to go in that virtual office or that virtual address. Okay, now let's get into the golden ticket. That golden ticket is the one thing that separates funded businesses from those businesses who are not getting funded and are going broke. So what if I told you there's a differential between you getting $5,000 in approvals to $100,000 in approvals, and it comes down to one singular thing, okay? And it's not your personal credit score, it's actually your business credit profile. So your business credit basically reports to Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax Business. Now, having trade lines reporting, okay, to vendor suppliers is important, but having those vendor trade lines isn't necessarily going to do you well or bode well for you as far as getting funding from a bank, okay? So in me having that e-commerce business, if I had a vendor that sold goods to me, okay, and that vendor was good enough to give me goods on consignment, or let's say without me paying for them for 30 days, and then I paid for those goods after 30 days, that would report back to Dun & Bradstreet, okay? Now, that's good for vendor suppliers, but it's not necessarily good when it comes to communicating to banks in order to get credit from the bank. So when you're hearing this thing online about net 30 this, net 30 that, the banks don't give a damn about net 30, okay? Vendors do, so it can help you to make money on that side. But as far as banking is concerned, that's completely separate. So once you pay on time, your vendor's on time, okay, and they report back, or that reports back to Dun & Bradstreet, what that contributes to is your Paydex score, okay? So Paydex goes from 0 to 100, so an 80 plus Paydex score is good. Now, if you're really looking to gain a whole load of money or gain a whole load of funding from banks, you really need to deal with banking credit, lines of credit, revolving credit, credit cards from the banks. That is what is going to report your credit scores or your relationships with those banks. And if you're good in those relationships, that is when you get even more funding to invest into your business to make more money with money. So once you've got all these things structured, okay, and in place, it's really, really easy to get money from credit unions. Now, remember, the reason why I keep on mentioning credit unions is because the threshold in order to get money is lower, and you can get bigger bags, and it's less stringent. The rules and regulations to get the cash is less stringent than your commercial banks. So here's where the plot basically twists, okay? Big banks, commercial banks, like your Chases, like your Wells Fargo, basically they make you jump through a whole bundle of hoops, okay? But with credit unions, as mentioned before, it's a lot easier to get to the bag. So here's a little recap in order to structure that business, in order to grab a hold of the money, moolah, bling, and ka-ching. So you need to structure it. You need to get your identity right. LLC, C Corp, S Corp, etc., etc. You need to have basically an online presence. You need to have that checking account. You need to be building relationships with credit unions, relationship based, because they are more flexible and it's easier to get those approvals. In order to get those relationships, you need to be putting deposits in those banks and having money flow in and flow out to build up your bank rating. So you need to build your business profile, skip those commercial banks because of the fact that they're not giving the bags out. Like the credit unions, they're giving funding to American entrepreneurs every single day, easily, once the structure of the business is correct. So I make and distribute all of this content completely free of charge, and I would appreciate your appreciation if you'd smash that like button right now, smash that subscribe button, so all of this content permeates the universe and gets out to the people who need it, because business owners like me and you, we need access to this money in order to get the funding that we need in order to grow, in order to make the world a better place. See you soon.